Welcome back to Real Talk, the show where we sit down with real investors doing real deals and uncover what's actually working in today's market. So today's guest has built his business across 4 different states, from northern Georgia to the hills of Tennessee, into Arkansas, and even also a bit parts of northern Carolina as well. Let's welcome Gianluca, who actually started out his traditional investing, but today he's made a name for himself closing creative novations and also deals, which includes cash offers and much more, all the while keeping operations lean and mobile. So in this episode, we're going to dive how exactly he structured his novation deals across different states, what exactly he learned transitioning from buy and hold to quick exits, and also the systems he uses to keep his leads warm across rural timelines as well. So let's get into it. Gianluca, thank you so much for being here on the show with us.
Thanks for having me.
It's a pleasure to have you over here with us. So if you don't mind, could you give us a small backstory about yourself? Like how exactly did you get into real estate and what actually drew you into the market?
Yeah, so I'm 19. I turned 19 like a month ago. I started wholesaling 7 months ago because I was at school. I couldn't stay in school. I hated it, and I knew I wanted to make money, do something else. So I paid for a mentor, got a coach. It took me 3 months to do my first deal. I was only doing cash. And then from there, I've done 6 deals total in Georgia, Arkansas, and I did my first novation the other week in Tennessee. So I'm trying to get to, somewhere around 40,000 a month and then slowly start to sell my own coaching and get some revenue that way.
That's nice. Amazing. So obviously you moved from investing to novations and cash offers. Why exactly did you decide to pivot to that direction? Like, was it the market, the margins, or the mindset shift?
It's just easier to, to make that much large sums of money with no risk. Yeah, I'm paying for data, I'm paying for leads. But, I don't have to ever take ownership of a house, pay taxes on a house, worry that the house is going to hit by a hurricane. Just get 2 contracts signed and get paid that way. Much more risk-free, and it's also much more less work. It's all remote.
Got it. And obviously, like you have mentioned that you work across like multiple states like Georgia, Tennessee, Arkansas, as well as Northern Carolina. How do you manage seller relationships, especially across different territories? Like how do you do it?
Yeah, I think you just got to find each seller's personality, try to keep everyone on board, because there's times where people will get pissed halfway through a deal, BS will come up. There's stuff that happens every deal. You just got to keep everyone's emotions in check and make sure that, the deal doesn't blow up and you're on top of every deal, and treat every seller the same. Because every deal has its own set of problems.
What would be the biggest difference, especially when it comes to, like, let's say, working out a deal in Arkansas, let's say do something in northern Georgia? What would be the biggest difference?
Well, yeah. So the difference is it's much easier to get leads in something like Arkansas because there's more people that want to sell because the houses are a bit cheaper. There's more people in distressed situations. A lot of people that just don't have much money, so their biggest asset is their house. So a lot of them are willing to sell down there because it is a lot of a cheaper area compared to a Georgia. But what I've noticed is the spreads are bigger, the more expensive you go, which isn't true all the time. But Arkansas, I could say you can do a larger volume of deals, but the deal size isn't as large per deal, like if you go to something like a Georgia or North Carolina.
So would you say like the competition is lower in the smaller towns also?
It's not that it's lower. There's definitely more buyers. I feel like Arkansas has a lot of buyers. There's a lot more people who, are not as intelligent. So they're more prone to take a lowball offer than someone in Georgia. So there's like a big correlation between the price of houses and people's intelligence, I've noticed. So the cheaper you go, it's like the dumber the people are. But yeah, that's probably what I'd say.
And obviously you do a lot of novations also, right, on the side?
Yeah, I wouldn't say a lot. I've closed 1 and I have 2 actively under contract that I'm working on. So it's something that I want to implement because it's a lot more hands-off. I just get it, ship it to a realtor. I just wait for them to get a buyer. So I think it's something with bigger spreads, and also I can do more a month compared to if I'm trying to sell 3 cash deals by myself each month. I think it's just a better way to automate the business and also get more per deal.
Okay, makes sense. Some of our viewers might not be extremely familiar with the real estate terms. So for our viewers, would you mind explaining what exactly novation is? Like, how would you explain it in like 20 seconds?
So a novation it's the same thing as the fact that you're not buying it. You're assigning it to a third party, but your marketing channel is done through the MLS. So you could get a contract for 100. You're then going to throw it on the market with a realtor for, let's say, 140, 150. When you find a retail buyer, it could be someone that pays with a loan, someone that pays cash. and then you finalize the sale. You cover all closing costs and commissions for the seller, so it's nothing out of pocket for them. You don't need the money out of pocket either, but you get the difference of the two contracts after all fees are paid off. The main difference is you're not doing all the dispo, looking for buyers, outbound, reaching out to people. It's on the MLS. The realtor handles all of it. They're like your whole transaction coordinator. And then you just wait for the realtor and you to accept an offer that makes sense and makes it profitable. And you sign all the paperwork with the realtor. First, you need 3 contracts signed with the seller. Once you get that, get a realtor, have them throw it on the market, get the paperwork signed with the realtor. And then there's some repairs that might come up depending on the house you're working with, which you don't actually pay for. It comes out of pocket. But I mean, yeah, pretty much start to finish, you're just negotiating a good deal for a bit lower than market value, throwing it on the MLS where there's more pools of buyers, and then waiting for the realtor to do what they're good at, which is marketing and bringing a buyer.
I hope our viewers got a much better understanding of what exactly novation is after Gianluca gave us like a proper explanation for that. So when you notice sellers in certain regions, right, like how do you know whether they're going to respond better to novations versus cash? Like,
yeah, well, it depends on the condition. Also, the time frame. If someone's looking to sell ASAP, they're like, I need the money 3 weeks. You going the market process, it still could be done quick, but it's not going to suit the seller's needs as much as cash would. So time for sure. They need money quick. You got to do cash. If it's distressed, I know you could flat fee. I'm not a big fan of flat fee. I'd rather just work with a realtor. But if it's distressed too, that's probably another route where you'd go cash. But if it's in livable condition, you have a better chance of being able to hit their asking price. And yeah, as long as they're not in too much of a rush, it should work for most people because they're hands off and they still get closer to the price they were looking for if you did cash. So it depends per situation, probably.
If you don't mind sharing with the viewers, like what exactly would you say is one of the best deals you have come across ever since you started your wholesaling journey, investing journey?
Best deal I've come across or done. I sold 4 properties in Arkansas all on the same street. Got them for dirt cheap. Got them for $86,000 and sold them for $125,000. Now I did have to JV it. I had a bit of a hard time finding a buyer because it was in the hood. So we had to find the right person for it. But I mean, that was the smoothest deal I've ever done. No brainer. 4 houses for $125,000. I mean, pretty smooth, straightforward. That one was a good one with a lot of room on it.
That's amazing. What's something that you have recently started into the wholesale as well as real estate journey? Like what exactly would you say is one of the biggest lessons you have learned during this time?
During the time of starting to do novations is always give yourself more room than you need to. Just because the seller wants 100, you could hit 100. Still always give yourself a bit more room because it could sell lower than expected. Repairs can come up heavier. So still give yourself, with novations especially, a really big buffer. I wouldn't go into a novation with the intention of making less than 15. It just wouldn't be worth it.
So there's like a particular price set which you keep in mind, especially when you want to.
Yeah, so I don't get a novation under contract unless when I put it in the calculator. Obviously, you're not guaranteed, but when I run the numbers and put in the calculator, I want to make sure that number is 30,000 less than, what it, like, I want to make sure my assignment fee should be at least 30. Because that way, even if it does go a bit lower, I still have room.
So what's next for you? Like, are you going to be doubling down on these 4 markets or are you planning on expanding into new markets as well?
Yeah, I'm doing inbound leads with Facebook Meta ads, and I'm trying to get 1 novation deal a week and trying to get to 3 closed and funded novations a month and try to hit that $60,000 a month mark. And then slowly start to hire out each role. And then also when I hit, I would say probably $150,000 in assignment fees, also start to sell my own mentorship or coaching program or something.
That's amazing. I mean, I'm pretty sure a lot of young viewers who wants to get into the same market will be more than interested in like getting to hear about your journey as well as how exactly you scaled. So one last question before we end the real talk, and this is going to be more focused on for the younger audience. So let's say for somebody who wants to get started in novations today, what would be your one piece of advice you would give them? Like basically a mistake you would warn them about beforehand.
Yeah, always undershoot the numbers. So if you think it would list for 150, maybe account for the fact that it might list for 135. So always play it safe. Always run your numbers safe and always give yourself a ton of room and work with a good realtor who's proficient and does their job quick, or else it's just not going to work. Someone who's an expert in the market.
So thank you so much, Gianluca, for sharing your playbook with us. So it's not every day that we get to hear about how exactly someone's closing creative deals across multiple states and also doing it with such precision as well. For the viewers, if you're watching this and thinking about expanding beyond your local zip code or wondering if novations could unlock more profits on the trade spreads, this episode is basically the one for you guys. So tune in next week where we're going to be coming up with new episodes, new shows, and also share more about the new insights which are going to be happening in the market. Once again, Gianluca, thank you so much for being here on the show with us, and we'll catch you next week.